Okay, let's go. Hello everybody, welcome Nithin Krishnamurthy, Sindhu Sreenivasa Murthy, Shashank Soghal and Rukmini Vasanth. Welcome to the Hindu Cinema Roundtable. This is the first time we are doing. We are at the courtyard in Bengaluru. I'll begin this conversation with an anecdote or a real episode that happened with the Indian cricket team. Since a lot of people watch cricket in India, I think in the early 2000s, when Sourav Ganguly became the captain, there was a big expectation on him because the perception was that the credibility of the team was in question because there was a big match fixing saga and then you had a new captain, and the perception was that, you know, the team has to prove that they are clean, they're united and they have to play well. So that I always kept thinking, what was your perception of Kannada cinema when you started watching Kannada films seriously? For example, if you were to ask me, when I started following Kannada films, one grouse was that the remake should come down. That's what I was thinking. That is something that I thought, and maybe later, a decade later, I thought that maybe the non-Kannadigas or people beyond Karnataka should watch our films. That is another perception that I wanted it to change. So maybe starting from you, I want to know, like, what is it that you thought should change about Kannada cinema? Not necessarily that you would go and change, but generally as a fan.
As an audience, like more entertainers. First, if the business has to survive, families would love more entertainers. That was one thing I was always thinking about.
And when was this? Like roughly, you were in your college? Or?
Yeah, in college. Yeah, in college. That's what I was thinking. When all other industries used to make entertainers as in not exactly mindless films. Okay. You can make an entertainer with a violent film, like how Tarantino makes. But so that had to come more. Is what I was thinking. But I used to enjoy all kind of movies. I've grown up watching Shivanna's films. Right. So I think there was a phase where I couldn't complain. While growing up, I didn't see a problem in the movie at all. I could just enjoy. Right. Now I think I don't know why, but we see problems in movies. I don't think it's exposure, but we want to criticize a movie is also one thing that we all have. Right. Probably we want to give an opinion. But that is good also in a way where people get better. Yeah. And bad sometimes because we just trash movies sometimes without a reason. It could have been a good, decent enough movie, but we put it into a bad movie segment. So to come back to your question, entertainers I was looking for.
By that you mean like a wholesome entertainer?
Not exactly wholesome entertainer. See,
like a genre-specific entertainer.
Yeah, genre-specific. And it shouldn't be silly, boring movie.
Got it.
It can be a very serious movie,
but also engaging.
Engaging, yes.
Right. What about you?
I think watching a lot of films growing up now, we watch a lot of Anantnag sir's films, etc. So one of the things was to bring topics that involve families back into the forefront. Like we had a lot of stories about Vataras, communities, they had grey characters. The heroes were not heroes, they were grey characters themselves. Anantnag sir himself has played manipulative, deceptive characters while being the lead. So I thought that was always very interesting that we've let go of our heroes as something larger than life instead of just being an everyday guy who's the hero or everyday woman being the hero. And the other thing is, I always thought that maybe our production value could go up in the sense of aesthetics. It could look better. We could pay more attention to colors. We could pay more attention to a frame, to the lighting, and make the production itself look good. Even at a lower budget, it's possible.
So everything looked like one tone.
I think that we were behind on aesthetics is what I personally believe. I feel like, like let's say a Daredevil Mustafa, the aesthetics was it so beautiful. The production value was so beautiful because they paid so much attention to color, to the locations, to the lighting. It made the whole experience a very visually beautiful experience, which I feel like over a period of time, it was just too much of a mishmash. And it wasn't really complementing things. Like, art was not complementing the colors or the lighting or the framework. It was not really complementing one another. It was all just there.
Yeah.
You sometimes need to refine that and have like a vision for it. So I feel like now we're getting there. I feel like films are coming up with like a proper production value and aesthetic, what we call a look of the film, and maintaining it consistently throughout the film. That's all happening now, and I see that's a good sign.
So I like two things, like one is aesthetics and one is remakes. It used to kind of create a complex when I was in college. When I was studying in engineering in Mysore, my friends used to tease me if I watch a Kannada film.
Right.
I mean, it was there. Maybe
Why was that? Because it was a
maybe
lot of remakes.
they say, I mean, I was very hungry for content-oriented films. When there was Cyanide or something, I used to go and see. When there is Dogi, but very rarely. I mean, in that there was a little bad patch, maybe for 5 to 10 years. That's where I got very. I mean, I was very strongly. I got strong opinion about films. I used to make opinions. Okay, maybe I was inspired to make films. Maybe I wanted to try some good films.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when you wanted to change that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, okay, I can make a better film. I was inspired by bad films, maybe.
I mean, one thing that I was really missing in general in the industry was love stories. Like, I really did miss, I mean, your commercial love stories as well. Not, I didn't like the fact that love was just one more angle in it. And, you know, it didn't feel like there were any films that explored love in entirety.
The emphasis was not completely given for that.
And by extension, you know, the female lead was just sort of there and then she left. Well, you know, everything else was the main event. So I missed that. But to tack on in general to what to what everyone said, I really missed especially because I was consuming cinema from all over. You know, I was watching English cinema, I was watching Hindi. Then my exploration into regional cinema began with Malayalam and stuff like that. So their technical aspects were like really far ahead. So like how Sindhu said, you know, the concept of a color palette, the concept that there's a certain aesthetic or a certain symmetry that, you know, through that also we're going to be telling the story. It doesn't have to be all exposition or writing or dialogue or performance. We'll tell the story through another realm. I felt like that was lacking for a while. But now, you know, it's really exciting to see that growing in leaps and bounds.
Great. So, I mean, so you made Achar and Co, Daredevil Mustafa, Hostel Uduguru Bekagidare, and you starred in Saptasagar Rajelu. One common thing is it doesn't come under your traditional mainstream film, right, or a masala film as such. I'll tell you because I was able to figure out, like, you made a film based on literary work. You made a film that kind of was an attraction for a particular crowd, right? And you kind of managed to, you know, bring in a lot of young audiences to the theatre. And obviously, a love story, you have to tell me that, you know, what are the kinds of people who watch the movies, like, you know, especially because you said that there was a dearth of a love story. I want to know, from the films that you have made, what is your understanding of the audience based on the reception that you have got? Maybe if you want to go.
I don't have as keen an understanding of the audience as, say, Hemant or Rakshit would, being from the production and the direction point of view. But I know that this is sort of, it's made the rounds with younger people. And I mean, not just people who are in relationships, but people who want to see a dramatic, intense exploration of a relationship. That kind of, I feel like that dart, that character study along with a plot was kind of lacking. So, and this is one of those films where we've been saying from the beginning, it doesn't matter if you know the plot. The plot is very simple. We'll tell you the plot if you want. The point is the experiential part of it. The point is to come there, feel what Manu and Priya have, because you're going to feel it through the way that it's been made. So, it's been really exciting to watch all the crowds who come in and watch it. They come in maybe because it's a Rakshit Shetty film, or they come in because it's a Hemant Rao film, or they come in because it's a love story. But a lot of them leave enjoying the cinematography, or they leave or, you know, they come if it's a Charan Raj film. So
No, Rukmini Vasanth also.
maybe one day, 5 years from now.
No.
But it's been one of those projects which has been really exciting for me to watch, where people are what's the word for it? People are interested in the technical part of it.
Yeah,
also.
like you said, the experience.
Yeah, the experience of it, and that's been very gratifying.
No, Saptasagara has set a benchmark in craft actually. I feel very proud, I'm very happy to see people talking in Twitter, from Tamil industry, Malayalam industry, who have set their benchmark with craft. They are talking very high regards for SSC. I feel very happy.
Yeah, and particularly I want to know, were you able to make a strong connection between literature and cinema in terms of the interests of people? Like, were you able to say that these are all avid readers who will also watch cinema? Like, because there may be a notion that very serious readers are cut off from cinema because they feel that it's not matching up to their standards. Did you feel that?
Yeah, initially when I took this subject, they told readers won't come to this film because they've already read it, and also they had that notion because they won't get that experience. So actually, it was a mistake. I thought it is a college film. I mean, we targeted a
College
young
drama.
audience.
Yeah.
But later only I realized it was family audience who came to our film.
Right. And in your case, it's fascinating because after a point, it's very difficult to get people to theaters, right? Like, you see your parents getting old and they don't want to step out to watch a film.
Yeah.
But you saw that there were people in their 70s, 60s coming to movies. So, how was that?
See, first we thought we're targeting the film to women in general because we thought, okay, it's a story about women empowerment and everything. But then slowly we realized that everybody wanted to watch it for the nostalgic factor. Families started coming in groups of 16, 20, and they wanted it to be a family experience. So this was again a movie which was very clean, humor. There was, so people thought that they could enjoy this as a family together. There was just no awkward moments, etc. So that's what we realized. People started sending me pictures of their family in the theater, like large groups going and watching it. So that was very fascinating. Our oldest audience member was 99 years old.
Right.
And I think we had like babies also come in. So the age range was just vast. It was huge. And these grandparents, etc., that people brought into the theaters, it was really quite a task because, they have to walk into the mall, they have to take the escalator or, wait for the elevator and then walk up to the screen. There's a lot of movement involved, and I was so happy and grateful for all these people who made the effort. And then whenever I used to meet them after the show, I used to like really thank them from the bottom of my heart for just coming because it meant a lot to me. And I think that was, a very good experience to be able to talk to these audience members and to just see who's coming and watching it and what do they think about the film.
Right. And Nithin, in your case, because you're breaking the format of filmmaking itself, were there a worry because, most of them, I mean, maybe some of them would want just a traditional way of watching a film, right? They don't want that to be disrupted. Suddenly, why is this happening? Why is there a handheld camera? Like, did you fear that, that it will disturb the viewing experience of the masses?
No, we knew it that not a lot of people might like this format.
Okay.
But fortunately for us, they liked it. I mean, they loved it. So, the first 15 minutes of a film, I don't know if you have observed, so we've used all gimmicks of film.
Exactly.
Like either camera movements or any other editing pattern. So that was because that has been directed by a newbie. Because that is how when you do the first film, you want to put in everything. Get that camera, this camera, do this, all aesthetics, everything. So, but when people started to recognize that part, so a lot of people only like that part also. As
but a lot of people felt apprehensive as well, right? Because this is going in the very cliched way of showing a college.
And that is when we knew that they'll be in a shock after 15 minutes and they will enjoy this, right? So we were pretty sure that we will get some backlash that we didn't like it, but the margin was very less. So I think people now, probably it's the exposure or dearth, that they're ready to explore all form of content.
Right.
No, but sorry, I have to add, while watching Hostel Udguru, since I've been in the industry and since I was aspiring to be in the industry, I've pretty much watched, everything. Whatever was at screening, I'd go and watch it. The thing that Hostel Udguru managed to do with that first 15 minutes, it rocked my world. Because I remember when that, it's an unsaid convention, right? When you walk into a film, you assume that the narrator is reliable.
Exactly.
And then suddenly when you're like in that hostel, no film in such a long time had taken my sense of reality and completely warped it in that sense. It was like a roller coaster. Like when a roller coaster stops, that was like the cinematic feeling of watching it. It was wild, amazing.
I also have an affinity towards unreliable narrators. So
Superb.
It was the most cinematic moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it left us kind of, we don't know what to expect suddenly. Yeah. So all your movies are available on OTT platforms. So and they were all discussed when they came out, right? So what I'm trying to say is, I want to know the reach of the film beyond the obvious audience that you are catering to, that is the Kannada audience. Like for instance, when we had the COVID lockdown, two Kannada films made a lot of noise, Diya and Love Mocktail. I want to know the reach of each of your movies. Like who are, apart from the obvious audience, can you tell me the feedback that you've gone, like maybe different industries or different places, very unexpected people that they've come to you and say, hey, I watched the movie, like.
I don't have the data,
Yeah.
like how many minutes, because we sold it to Amazon.
Yeah.
They do not give the data. But see, I was able to sell the dubbing rights of all the languages
Right.
after we released to Amazon. So that was very good for us.
And
Yeah, same. We've sold it to Prime, so we don't have data. But I could tell you two instances. I think when the movie was just out, and we had a review by Mr. Rukmini and then also Mrs. Anupama Chopra, that was a huge sense of validation. Because it's a small Kannada film that was made with keeping Bangalore in mind, and I was very skeptical that anybody outside of, let's say, even Bangalore, forget even Karnataka, but even outside of Bangalore, if anybody would find it relevant or relatable,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But the fact that these two people, having no context to what 60s of Bangalore was, and then they tweeted about it, and Sir also made a review about it, it was fantastic. And we also had a lot of audience outside of the country, in terms of like US, Canada, Germany. We also had screenings in US, and we had it in Germany and Australia as well. So some of these people actually wrote to me on Instagram and said it felt like, it reminded us of home, and it made us so homesick, and I just feel like I just missed my grandmother and my parents, and for a moment it just felt like a very warm, cozy hug from their family members. And they said this will be the go-to film to just, one of those days when you're down and you just want to pick me up. It's one of those things that, I'd probably watch over and over again, is what they said.
our movie was reviewed by a lot of people
Yeah.
from
It was
different
dubbed in
states.
Telugu.
It was dubbed in Telugu, but the Kannada movie was reviewed, I think, in almost all South Indian languages. Major critics love it, and of course, it was trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
Apart from the theatrical response, I think in Mumbai, a lot of people called. I mean, and immediately they wanted to do the Telugu version.
Right.
Telugu did pretty decent. It was not as big as a hit here. We really thought this film could only connect to, because we had a lot of pop culture references.
Correct.
But we also had a lot of homages to Hollywood movies in the first 15 minutes. So that got picked up very easily. Probably Edgar Wright. I'm a huge fan of Edgar Wright. So a lot of references were there. I'm also a huge fan of Upendra. So that was there in the second part. So it got picked up very well across the country. And now they are trying to remake it in Hindi.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Right. Lovely.
Yeah, so I mean, people, from across industries who, reviewers, obviously, people like Ravichandran N and Anupama Chopra who watched and appreciated it, and a lot of actresses, which I really, it means a lot to me, because I think they understand the difficulty to find a role like that.
Yeah.
They understand all the internal struggle before you can actually prove yourself on screen. So, getting appreciation from like Anushka Shetty or some other Ruth Prabhu and stuff, it meant a lot to me. But I think the biggest thing was when I was shooting for a Tamil film in Malaysia, and we had an early call sheet. I was just running to get some breakfast in Sarvana Bhavan, and in Kuala Lumpur, 4 people recognized me.
Oh, great.
One of them had watched the Kannada version, one of them had watched the Malayalam version, and one of them had watched the Telugu version.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And I'm in my Tamil film zone there. I'm thinking, about my scene with Vijay sir. Next, I'm zoning in, trying to like get all of that, and they're like, "Hey, Sapta sir," which was the biggest thing to me.
Shashank, particularly with you, like when this year, when your movie released, there was a very plain face, right? A lot of people are not coming to the theaters, and then suddenly Daredevil Mustafa happened. So I want to know, how does a new gen filmmaker kind of stick on to the quality or his vision and also ensure that the movie is financially safe? Like, what is the challenge?
No, we had absolutely no. I mean,
No expectation.
against all odds, we came because we
Right.
did not have any. Like April, March,
Yeah.
it was completely dry.
Yeah, there was IPL, and
IPL
elections.
season,
yeah.
and
No
but
big movie wanted to release at that time. He made
no
it
one
up.
wanted to release the film.
Yeah.
But they were telling, okay, after June there is a huge lineup. So we were waiting since 6 to 8 months. Okay, I thought, and we thought, Dali Pictures, Dhananjay, and everyone said, okay, we will release. Let's see, because there was no other
Yeah.
way. So we had that conviction. Everybody who had seen the film, they said we'll go, and we just because even we did not have that pre-business, and also, I mean, everything was against us. Theater reviews and everything really helped for the profits.
Also, the reason why I asked is like maybe you were somewhat related with Lucia, right?
Yeah.
And of course, yours is a crowd-funded film. So again, we go back to Lucia, which is also a crowd-funded film. So when you think of that as a starting point of a new generation Kannada cinema movement, we are not getting names consistently, right? We still maybe till very recently we still kept talking about like the Pawan Kumars or the Hemant Raos or something. So the reason why I asked you is anybody can take this. What is the danger or the challenge of calling yourself a new gen filmmaker and kind of sticking on to the profession?
So one thing is when you take names like Lucy or Ulidar Kannan, very less films like that were getting made then. But I think there are a lot more getting made now. So you can't pick up on just one name. That is the main thing. And there's no danger. I mean, people won't have much expectations on if you.
So you have
if you're
nothing to lose,
you have
kind of
nothing
a
to lose.
scenario.
I mean,
yeah.
you can do your first film only once. You
Right.
can do it the way you want.
Yeah.
And the second film probably people might have a bit of expectations. And the only thing that you have to consistently maintain is what I always think is if you're sincere and if you don't lose that innocence, because it's very easy for you to, as you get into business, as you know what works, what doesn't work. First film, you don't know
You
anything,
don't know,
right?
yeah.
And
Like you
as
said, yeah.
get into the business part of it, art part dies. So you should never get into that part as well.
Yeah. Do you feel that so? Yeah.
I think that at the end of the day, content wins.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's making it, whether it's like a new filmmaker or someone who's already been doing it for a while. I think that's an example of Daredevil Mustafa, right? They came out of nowhere. They put out this film after many years and it was fantastic. They ran for 50 plus days in the theater. At the end of the day, it shows you, and no big stars in it. It was backed by Mr. Dhananjay, but the face value on the posters and in the film are all youngsters, and the film, like I said, was packaged well. It was, the production value was nice. Even if I have to say about Hostel as well, the fact that, they had such great promotions that were taking place before the release. I personally love the Raja Ravi Verma paintings that was let out. It was so creative. I think people are really looking for people who are creative, who are coming up with something more than just the ordinary run-of-the-mill story. And I feel like the audience will support it no matter who's making it.
If you are a new age filmmaker right now, I mean, if you term it that way, I think the seniors in this industry are much more supportive now. Like I think for our movie, like from Appu sir, Shivan,
Yes.
And maybe they're also looking for that change.
yeah,
right?
so the ecosystem is very good now.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's beautiful. Like he said, there are these stars who come from such a lovely background of films, etc. And they are promoting new talent as well, which is, I think, a great initiative by these production houses and especially Puneet Rajkumar sir and PRK Productions. I think they know and they see the value in bringing that freshness to the industry. So I think it's amazing that in our industry, it is actually quite supportive.
It's great. Rukmini, like you're a very nice odd one out in this, panel, because these three are filmmakers. When you said that 4 people recognized you in Kuala Lumpur, so there's a bigger scrutiny now. Like what is Rukmini Vasanth doing next? What is she doing off camera? So how are you reacting to that scrutiny?
You would ask me this question once before.
Yeah, but that was completely related to social media. But now, there's also a scrutiny about what is she doing next in cinema. And,
Filmography.
and it's and it's increased, right, with Side B.
Yeah, there's always a certain amount of luck in this. I've been on the bad side of that luck for a while, and now I'm on the good side of that luck. So I always acknowledge that. And I have to say that I have been lucky in the kinds of choices I've been approached with. For me to do side A, Banadari, side B, was a certain range that not only I had to push myself to do, but also for for other filmmakers, potentially people who might work with me, it was a presentation of what I might be capable of. So I think at that point, after 3 or 4 years of not having any work, I was kind of like, okay, come at me. I need to, this is my work. I need to prove myself. Let's get moving. Now I'm trying not to let that scrutiny weigh on me. There's an impulse in me that I know there's a voice. I'm trying to stay true to that. And I think one of the people that I've sort of viewed as inspiration in that is Rakshit, in terms of his filmography and even when we were promoting Sapta, he would say he likes to, his main thing in life is to look back at his filmography and see how each film has made him grow. It's your, you grow along with your filmography, and I find that such a beautiful way of looking at it. Now, the things that I might learn and grow with each film will be very different. I don't want to take on work simply because that's what's expected of me in that moment. It's not a continually escalating thing. Like if you've worked with the top people in the industry, there's this weird expectation that you move to another industry and start working with the top people in that industry, and then where do you go?
I just want to add on to that, because I feel, is this a tricky space? Because suddenly people here kind of want to have an ownership on you because they want you to do more Kannada films. And how do you see that, because you see that as a big world, right? You just want to explore. So how do you see that? Like, how do you want to balance it out?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to limit myself to one language, as I have not done even up till now. But I also, working in another language has shown me the level of command I'm capable of in Kannada, the kind of performance I'm capable of. I know that in Tamil my grasp is not great. So if we look at multiple levels of a performance, I'm not able to get to the subtextual level in that moment, because I'm trying to make sure that I maintain eye contact with Vijay Sethupathi and I say my line properly and that I'm favoring.
Exactly.
And that I don't screw up the thing, mess up the thing for the dub. So I'm not able to get into the emotional truth of that scene, which I can do in Kannada. So I can't, it's not a question of ownership, it's not a question of restricting yourself. You want to grow, you want to challenge yourself. But I know what I'm capable of here in this language now.
And that is a fresh challenge.
I have to grow to that. But there's no question of not, continuing in home ground.
Correct. Yeah. Super. So this is a segment which I want to understand you people as filmmakers, and through that we'll discuss about your films. You mentioned about Edgar Wright, and one of your crew member told me that you watch a film every day. So I just want to, like, who are your biggest influencers, like, from world cinema, and what is your viewing pattern? Like, do you watch a film every day?
Almost, but during my shoots I can't. Otherwise I do watch a lot of films. So I've been watching series since my college days. Before all these series came, I used to watch Scrubs. Not sure if you've heard of it. So influences, my major influences would be from Kannada and India. Then of course I watch a lot of world films. So in Kannada I would say Shankar Nag, Upendra. I love Ravichandran N's also. So the way he shot Premaloka, I don't think so whenever people was talking about technical, I think the few of Ravichandran's film that was most brilliant ever, the way it was edited, because he used to edit in films. And Pani Ramchandra is one person I really look up. And then, of course, Anurag Kashyap, Deepakar Banerjee. And world films, I've loved David Lynch, Fincher, and there's Martin McDonagh. Lot of
and feels like Hostel Uduguru Beka have everybody's homage in
because I was making a movie about making a movie, so it was so much. That is my favorite genre ever. So I watch Federico Fellini. A lot of big movie buff. I would watch any movie that if you give me a movie, I don't want anything else.
And Sindhu, like, whoever reacted to your films have found this comparison with Wes Anderson. Of course, you would have got calls about it. mainly maybe because the production design or the cinematography of it is propelling the storytelling, right? So yeah, you talk about those comparisons and the filmmakers you watched.
I think, see, for the longest time, I was just enjoying films as an audience member and as an actor. I was never really supposed to be writing or directing. It just so happened that I took this up like 2017 onwards, right? So I didn't pay a lot of attention to technicals or craft. But what I really enjoyed in a Wes Anderson film, when I was younger and I watched Grand Budapest Hotel in like the theaters, I was like, oh my God, this guy is able to create a stamp of his own. You watch any film of his and you know it's a Wes Anderson film.
Right.
And that's the beauty of his film, that even with just one motion poster or even with just one poster, you know it's his film. He doesn't even have to write his name there and you'll know it. And that's so amazing because he's actually puts a lot of energy and a lot of attention to details in music, in cinematography, in art, in everything, costumes, hair, makeup. I love that somebody pays so much attention to the tiniest of details and creates an entire experience for you. It's a full, complete, wholesome experience for you. So that's what I really like about him. And of course, I love the comedy that he creates. It's very awkward and it's very like, you know, all the in-between moments that are really funny. And it's not the, you know, rolling on the floor laughing kind of moments, but they're really just subtle, and it's played so beautifully by even the actors, you know. And another filmmaker that I really like is Taika Waititi. I think one of his the series What We Do in the Shadows is one of the most hilarious series I've ever watched. And then I so happened to watch his film Jojo Rabbit, which won the Oscar for the best adapted screenplay. One of my favorite movies of all time, because you know, you're setting the film in a background of the World War, such a large theme, but you've dealt with it with such humor. And I find that that's a great task to undertake, you know, and that's what I aspire to do, which I love in both Wes Anderson or Taika Waititi, or like I said, even Anantnag Sir's films. The fact that, you know, you're able to take such bigger themes, but you're able to tackle it with humor and so lightheartedly, and that I really enjoy. I really enjoy that space. So these are some of my influences.
Lovely. And you said something very interesting, was that when you were growing up, I mean, at least in your college days, you were looking for that unique Kannada film which had the quality, right? But so what was your alternative? Like, what would you watch thinking that, okay, if this was a Kannada film, it would be nice?
I used to watch a lot of plays.
Right. So there's a theatre influence.
Theatre. So also literature. You know, this is not in college, after college.
Okay.
When I started working, I started literature. And I mean, I don't watch a lot of films, but I go to film festival and I do a marathon. Maybe 20 films, and I love to watch Iranian films.
Okay.
I love crime thrillers by Fincher. Is my favorite director. I don't know if I'll make one, but I love David Fincher's film. I mean, in Kannada, of course, I love Pani Ramchandra, Nagateli Chandrasekhar, Undu Hoda Kondu Hoda, favorite. Apart from that, I love Siddlingaya. And also N. Lakshmi Narayana, the man who made Betta the Hoovu, I think is one of the most underrated directors in Kannada.
Right.
Because he made Nandi, amazing filmography, but he's underrated.
And how was your theatre experience helped you in your filmmaking?
I used to act in college. I used to act in my childhood as well. Yeah, it has really helped to grasp the nuances.
Rukmini?
My influences?
Or like, you know, what is your, you know, association with movies? Like, do you watch it at a stretch, or do you have your own time? And
I've fallen into a bad trap right now of rewatching.
Oh, right.
I'm not exploring any new things, and I'm trying to shake myself out of that.
Then you should become a director. Rewatching,
I know, not my own work. I can't stand to see my own work, but I pick a comfort film and I watch it. I really like what I like to call life-affirming films, like, you know, stuff that I don't mind the travel, but if it leaves me in a place that is bittersweet but tilting more to sweet, then I'm quite happy. So
I'd also like to add one more thing, that you know, as technically, yes, we've spoken about quite a few people. I think one more set of people who have inspired me in this journey is in Karnataka is Rakshit Shetty or Rishabh Shetty or and Rajbi Shetty, I think they have come from no background in films and they have created such good content that is now traveling the world. In fact, they're producing new content and they're going to the festivals and across Karnataka and beyond, right? And the fact that they've made it here truly on their own, they're such self-made people, it is truly inspiring. And nange, when I was like doubtful about, okay, what am I doing? I'm acting, I'm also written this, I'm going to be directing this, is it going to work? Just seeing them take that leap of faith for themselves made me want to take that leap of faith. And I truly have to thank them because they've set an example for many more people to follow.
And I also think that they told local stories, right?
Yes.
Truly local stories.
Yes.
Like,
and I think that's what really works, right? You take a local setting, but you have a global story, which
Correct.
is, a universal story in a local setting makes the best films.
Yeah.
And that way anybody can connect to it. And I think that's what they have done just so fantastically without even knowing it, I feel, because they have just been so true to themselves. And that's how everyone has connected to them.
Yeah.
No, I think Lucia and Ulidavaru Kandante has huge impact on me.
Yeah.
For me to become a filmmaker.
Correct. Yeah.
Because
They give us
those
confidence.
days,
They give us confidence
Yeah.
that we can make.
So suddenly it came out of nowhere and you kind of believe that this can be done.
yeah.
So one thing that I found very distinct in all the movies was that, like, I'll start with you. Can you tell me about the logistical nightmare of making a movie like this? Like, where you mentioned about not shooting a climax till you watch the film. So that was a very, and there's a very manic energy, right? Like, you have to maintain that. So what is a logistical nightmare of making such a film?
Lot like, see, every film, like for example, this shoot,
Yeah.
started a bit late. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So it won't happen on time.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned yesterday, also, if everything is perfectly fine and it's
Yeah.
beautifully programmed, then of course there's some problem. There are a lot of issues every day. Sindhu was mentioning, it's almost creative management. I mean,
Right.
director's job after writing all of that, it's managing your entire crew.
Yeah.
Like, did she have food? Did the van come?
Yeah.
Did he get his money back?
Yeah.
I think the magic comes from the chaos.
Yeah,
Yes,
of
of
course.
course.
There's
And this, apart from the creative aspect, you're looking
Creative
at the,
aspect.
It is creative problem solving.
yeah, it's mostly that. I mean, you would have asked for a specific palette.
Yeah.
Like, our green sikilla, we've got another green. so
How are you
so
going to
the
make it
DOP
work?
will be very specific. No, I want that green.
Okay.
So you have to go convince him.
Uh-huh.
Probably we can do it. We can
Right.
do it. So usually this DOPs give this reason. Why am I not seeing it like how I wanted it? They'll say, come to grade. DI. If you go to DI, they'll say, you should have done this in shoot. Or they'll say, come and see in the screens, it will be proper. When you go to the screen, this is not the exact thing, color that we wanted it.
Yeah.
This theatre is bad. so it
This is
happens.
how you manage as a
No,
director.
that will be there every time. So issues are bound to happen and there won't be any fun like if you if you do a remake, sometimes
It's
you do a
easy.
shot to shot remake. Like, I've heard of a story where one director had asked for a hero. He had worn a shirt and said, we're going to shoot the same scene. Yeah, okay, fine. Something's not looking or something. He was like, I'm doing exactly the same. We're shooting the same style. Why is it? Could you wear an yellow shirt? Like, why? The DOP has asked. No, it was there in the film. So if the original film, he had worn an yellow shirt.
Yeah.
So they wanted to do it
Exactly the same.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there won't be any logic
Yeah.
issue. If you really want a different color,
Yeah.
that is when problems start.
Yeah. I also feel like, we of course go with a lot of planning, directors especially go with a lot of planning, but you shouldn't chase perfectionism on set. You should allow for that little gap where something even more magical can happen. Because if you're going to be like, no, I just need only this to happen, you will miss out on the little impromptu fun and the magic that can happen
Half
in that
of the film
time.
should happen on set, as in there should be scope for improvisation.
Yeah.
Like I told you, we didn't shoot the climax. I was not convinced at all. 7 or 8 climax for Then we watched the film. We thought we can do something better. So there should always be scope for improvement.
And Sindhu, like, I come from a place of curiosity when people write about your movie that it's almost a woman-led team, right? So what goes in that world? Like, it's obviously filmmaking, but how is it different from, kind of, having women technicians? I think except for the cinematographer, most of the voted technicians were female, right? And what is the takeaway from that experience?
See, it was not an intentional decision. I think it started with getting Bindu Malini on board because I loved her work. Irrespective of gender, she was the one who had the most knowledge about Carnatic music and Western, jazz, classical that I wanted. So I went for her. And then suddenly we realized, okay, I am also directing this, Ashwini ma'am is producing this. This is looking nice and fun. And then, we got Hema ma'am, who's our sound engineer, on board. And then we had Inchara Suresh on costume. And then we had Danila on creative producing. And all of this just happened to be that way. And the one thing that I loved working with these women was the fact that their attention to detail was fantastic. Because all of them had Excel sheets of what they wanted to do, how it was going to be executed. We had color palettes, PPTs. Even costume department had an Excel sheet of like maintaining continuity, because we had so many characters. We had primary 15 characters. So we had to figure out in which scene what are they wearing, and what makeup and hair needs to go, because we're also doing aging. So we're not shooting in order. So we also need to keep track of all of that. So the best thing was all these women, their attention to detail was fantastic. They all had great taste, which was, which I think worked really well to our advantage. And also the fact that they were very patient and empathetic human beings. And I say this because, like our sound engineer, Hema ma'am, she's so patient with people, because our actors are all new. They're dubbing for the first time. They have no idea how to match their lips to, the screen. And she was so patient with them, and she's so empathetic to understand that they might be nervous, they might need a little extra help and time. It's fantastic. All of them, have been very generous with, their energy for us. And because I have been in that position where I had to go dub for a movie where it was my first time, and I got yelled at by the sound engineer. It was like, what are you doing? You don't know this basic stuff, then why are you in the films and all of that, right? And I remember apologizing profusely, saying, sir, please just, I'm really sorry, this is my first film. Why don't you just get another artist to come and do this? I don't think I can do this. I was so freaked out by the end of it. And with this set, everybody created such a lovely, nurturing, environment for the new ones who had come into our film. I really, really appreciate that about them.
And the reason why I asked you is there can be more examples of such if women collaborate and make more films.
I feel like they have talent just as much as anybody else in this industry. It doesn't have to be a gender thing at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's why I said that it was not a conscious decision. We chose them primarily because they were the ones that were, had the knowledge about what they were doing. So that's how they got on board, and it just so happened that majority of them were women.
Apart from technicians, I think women should start producing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that is very less here. Like, I think one of the most successful producers of Kannada film industry is Ms. Parvatama Rajkumar.
Yeah.
I mean, now Ashwini ma'am is doing that, and we need more people.
Yeah.
Like when you put a small amount also, it's okay. I mean, I think they should get into that, because they're very good with money than men.
Yeah.
I mean, to handle the economy of a movie, it's good.
Yeah,
they come into.
Very interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Shashank, talking about Daredevil Mustafa, maybe like one thing I felt was that there is a political relevance to your movie, right? Maybe when you started it, you're aware of it, but you're also living in a time where the discourse is sometimes very volatile. Like, people don't want to see something, people only want to see another thing. So, like, when you talk about politics and filmmaking, did you see that as a challenge? Were you nervous? Thinking that apart from the college and the fun drama, will they get to the core of the issue and have a debate?
I was definitely nervous. I mean, the premiere show was not a very memorable thing for me,
Right.
Because I was getting chills. I don't know people how they're going to take it. First time they watch.
Because the theme is communal harmony.
Yeah. But deep inside, I did not make this film because it is very political or something like that. It was very personal for me. When I read the story, it changed my world view. All of a sudden, okay, I got some insights from the story.
Yeah.
So that was very personal. So it was a very honest and very innocent approach from my end and from the whole team. That clarity saved me to make this film.
Right.
Barring all these situations.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And people of Karnataka,
Yeah.
I mean, I was very happy for the response.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
There's
is
been
not even a single issue or something like
Hmm.
that, which was very expected when I did previews or screening to CBFC and all. Yeah.
Yeah, so adding on to, the expectations in terms of, or reactions of the audience, we also had this one time when we were scared when we had gone to to get our censor certificate, and, we were slightly worried about how the reaction to the Suprabhata was going to be, because it is a very devotional song and it is very religious in nature. and we didn't know how people were going to react to it. Of course, we had ensured that the lyrics was very respectful and was not demeaning in any sense, or was not going to offend anybody's sensitivities. But there was always this at the back of our head, what is the reaction going to be?
Yeah.
And in fact, that's why we released it first during the entire lead up to the film, because in case there was going to be a problem, then we can figure out another alternative to it. But like he said, the reaction was completely the opposite. People loved the Suprabhata. They loved that there was so much creativity in it, and in fact, it went viral on like WhatsApp groups. Like people had started sharing it, and that's how our film came to the forefront in the first place, is because of the Suprabhata song.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know this because we thought, if they link it, we'll come to know because it's a YouTube link. But no, people had downloaded it as files and had shared the files. So we didn't even keep track of like how many times it's being shared or viewed, etc. But it worked wonderfully, and so many people came up to us and said, we came here because of the Suprabhata. And it was such a lovely song. So I think, audience can really surprise you sometimes. They can be far more mature than what we give them credit for. They have good taste. All you need to do is trust in them as well a bit. Yeah.
So the welcoming has been generally positive.
Yeah.
Rukmini, I'll get to the question. Before that, like if you compare side A and side B, side A had both you and Rakshit, the characters, kind of we were looking at from both of your point of views, right?
Yes.
Side B is mostly Rakshit telling us what he's trying to do with the story. So maybe the drama aspect of it is very less compared to side A when you're involved. So how do you kind of like, sometimes the camera is just on you, you're not reacting, you're doing daily chores, but you still have to show what's going on inside you. So how did that happen? Because the first part needed a chemistry. Here, I don't think chemistry was an issue. So how did you get into that character?
I think my biggest learning from Saptasagata Chelu in general, but also particularly side B, and given that I come from a theatre background, so when you're performing on stage, you have rehearsals, you have copious amounts of rehearsals, and then when you go on stage, it's all you. It's you and the lights and your co-actors. Like your director can watch in either stunned silence or shocked silence, but there's no control over it. It's all you. So I came into performance in film as well with that kind of mentality that I need to pull this along. If there's any emotional that needs to be conveyed to the audience, I have to be the one to do it. Film doesn't work like that. Your edit can push it, the music will push it, the cinematography will push it, the silence will push it. I don't have to do all the heavy lifting, which was huge for me.
Yeah.
It's a huge revelation. So when we were shooting a lot of those scenes, Hemant could see that I was trying to pull a bunch of stuff. So for a lot of those scenes, I'm just blank, and that works because it's from Manu's perspective. He has no insight into Priya's life anymore.
Yeah.
So you as the audience member traveling alongside Manu have no insight into Priya's life.
Is
so
it
the
easy to go
blankness
blank? Or?
It's very hard. And then especially because you feel like you're not doing anything. You're like, do I deserve to be on this set? Does this camera deserve to be? You feel like you have to be doing something. But as soon as you take that burden off yourself and be like, there is another aspect of filmmaking that gets the solo right now. The solo doesn't always have to be me. I'm backup right now. So that freed me of a lot of that weight of having to bring it.
Yeah, and I think actors in general, like I come from a similar theatre background, so it's not about doing something. You don't have to do, act, pretend, nothing. You just be really true to yourself and the character and just be in the moment. And there are times like when this happens, when you just snap back to the present and you know that you're in character because you're fully here and not anywhere else in your thought, in your head. And then the most beautiful performances come from that, when you're just truly present in the, in that scene or in that space.
In fact, Sindhu has just led me to that question. Like you, in your short career, this is a very emotionally heavy character, right? So what kind of a performer are you? Like, are you emotionally attached to that character? Do you think about it when you're not shooting, or how long does it take to get out of it?
Constantly thinking about it. I mean, Sapta we were making, I got cast in it at the end of 2020. We started in 2021.
Yeah.
It came out now. In the kind of performances that I enjoy, thus far in my short career, I enjoy a sort of multidisciplinary approach to performance. So there were a lot of times where I would be in our breaks, for instance, when Rakshit had to go promote Charlie and we had a long break and he was putting on weight. I was shooting for Banadari, sure, but I was also consuming cinema. I was reading novels, I was reading poetry. I would come across stuff that sparked something off in me that reminded me of something for Priya. So I remember seeing a poem somewhere, Tennessee Williams poem, that really helped me for one key scene with Saptasagar Dachelo side B, when Manu and Priya meet. There's an emotional essence in that was very crucial for my prep for that particular scene. So I am constantly working on, I think the word is lateral as opposed to linear. Constantly thinking about, okay, how can I use this here? How can, even when I'm consuming art of a different kind, a song, music was big for me to get into character, to get out of character. So there are all these, I'm constantly thinking about it. And it takes a while to leave the system.
You're still thinking.
And as an actor, how do you judge when you see somebody else's acting? Is it good or bad?
I can't.
You can't?
I can't judge myself also. I can't.
No, you can't, of course.
Andre,
but when you see somebody else, you think he's a good actor or a bad actor. You have any parameter for that?
as long as I feel like there's no vanity in the performance, in the sense of if they do something, even if someone moves their hand and puts their hair behind their ear, are they doing that because their profile looks great in that moment, or are they sitting across from a guy they like and like
do you think it should be effortless or should they put effort?
I think I don't know. I don't think there can be a judgment in terms of whether it should be or shouldn't be. I think some actors do like to put in effort, like I know I do. I feel like if I've not done effort, I don't deserve to be there. That's me. But there are other actors for whom the effort is entirely internal. Like I have a notebook, I write, I draw, I do that kind of stuff so that, also selfishly, so that I can have that. When I'm 80, I want that notebook to think about my heyday and all that nonsense. But there are a lot of other actors. Rakshit is a great example of that. He is very internal. I don't think he's put pen to paper once in prepping for Manu. Look at Manu. I mean, look at Manu side A, side B. So I don't think you can have a judgment of whether an actor needs to, what gets the best performance out. Whatever that is, great for you.
Right. Great. I mean, so all of you are part of really enjoyable and entertaining movies. So we'll quickly move to a segment where we'll show a scene from each of your films and you'll have to talk about it.
ಮದುವೆ ಮನೆಯದು ಎರಡು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮರ್ಯಾದೆ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ನಿಂದು? ಅದೇ ನೀವು ಹೊಡಿತಿರೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಾದ್ರೆ?
ಸುಮಾ,
ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೇಳಿರಿ. ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತಿರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ತೊಂದರೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ, ಸರಿನಾ?
ನಿಮಗೆ ಹುಚ್ಚಿಡಿದ್ರಾ? ಬಾ, ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮನೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋಣ.
So Sindhu,
Yes.
I really like this scene because there's always this, one is the male savior complex where a man comes and saves a woman in a very, very difficult or a dangerous situation. That apart, going by the technicalities of the film, until this point, this has a very nice and warm feeling to the movie, right? But you break that, and despite not being a very masala or a traditional film, I found this to be a very mass scene. Like I was very happy when the protagonist reacts that way about her sister. So can you talk about the writing process behind this?
Yeah. In fact, when we were writing this, there was this one, like you said, two things that were main important. In domestic abuse cases, for some reason, our society shames the victim.
Right.
They don't shame the perpetrator. And the lines were written in a way to bring the shame back to the perpetrator and not the victim. There is nothing that the woman needs to feel ashamed about for being in a situation like that. She didn't know, right? Nobody knows that this is going to happen. More awareness need to be brought that you cannot do such things, which is bring back the responsibility of the onus back to the perpetrator, that you cannot do such things, right? Because it's inhuman to treat somebody like this. So I think one of the main points is, like I said, one is shame, and the other one is definitely when women speak up, nobody takes them seriously. They're like, "Mannano, tammano, yarasna kariri." Call your brothers. I'll talk to the man of the family. Why? The women cannot handle topics like this. Of course we can. So there is sort of, these two were the most important points we wanted to tackle when we were writing this scene. We wanted it to be as sensitive as possible and make sure that that this is not okay, right? And especially, I was speaking about this earlier, that we see domestic abuse cases more now because we're aware of what's happening around us, and more people are coming to register cases, etc. And that's why we're aware, but it was always been there. And we need to sensitize people about it's okay to leave that family, it's okay to leave a situation like this and start afresh, and it's completely not your fault, especially the victims. It's not their fault, and that they can start life afresh, and it's very important.
Right, so we'll go to the next scene. So Nitin, I picked this scene because I found it little, very different from the rest of the tone of the movie. Because till then, Hostel Uduguru Bekagidare is very goofy, and the film is not taking itself too seriously. The characters are also kind of very chaotic and everything. But here, there's a tonal shift, right? Suddenly, you see characters crying. They're very serious about a situation. So, can you talk about the tonal shift of this scene?
One is till now, audience were having fun, like, and these people were still in a mess. But once they realize that this is all part of a film, they kind of relax, but they still are angry at him because he's been playing with them. This time, when they seriously know that something like this happened, they know it's a more vigorous reaction than knowing that warden has died with a suicide, because they are not responsible directly. It's something that they have done, so warden has written the name. Here, they've actually set them on fire. So seeing a body burn will, that too when you are part of the crime which has happened just in front of you, you will react immediately, and your the true emotions will come. And so I asked Rukmini if an actor should put effort or effortless. So in this warden, he's not an actor at all. So he's been doing bad acting, how much ever he tries. Here, when he realizes that all his life is not done anything right, so he really wants to. He's putting effort. He's putting effort to be an actor. He says, "Until I say cut, you don't come." So that is the basic rule of acting, right? Until I say cut, you have to be in that role. So there, he's done his best. He might not have talent to be a great actor.
But he's a hard worker.
He's a hardworking actor. He transforms to that. And usually directors, they put actors in trouble, like the entire set in trouble, and they want what they want, right? Even here, by that mishap, something like this can be caused. And interesting thing was, couple of scenes most of the scenes we've lit it on fire, but Manjunath was inside the car a couple of times, and we didn't have a stunt guy. We couldn't afford, so we had wet gunny wax ready in case something happened. And Arvind, I think he designed a lot of stunts in this thing.
Right. So
he did a great job here. And if you see, whenever people ask, why did you dub it for like 70 days? If you see Ajit's voice, he took an entire day just for one, shout has to come.
Correct.
So he's whole day he shouted in his house, then came to the dubbing studio, and then that voice. And also, when Xavier, people have been teasing about him, and even in the film also makes fun of his beliefs that whatever, holy water. But I don't know if it's coincidence or you can call it serendipity, that because of that water, and it's actually the power switch is on, and only then that warden is alive. Only he thinks that the warden is alive because of his water. The audience know that because of that water, power of that water, the power motor switched on, and they could turn off the fire.
No, but in a small way, even he gets that validation, because Allu Arjun at that point, till that point, everyone's making fun of him. So you can choose to think that that's coincidence, or you can choose to believe that that's the truth, that holy water is.
Great. Thanks, Nitin. Yeah. Let's go to the next scene.
ಈ ಮಗು ಬೆಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ಪ್ರಿಯ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ದಾಟಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಕಣ್ಮುಚ್ಚಿದೆ ಅಪ್ಪ ಕಾಣಿಸೋದು.
Yeah. So, see, in this film, till this point, you had Priya's character had a resolve to somehow get Manu out of it, right? So, despite the biggest of challenges, you never expressed that. But here is, I think, the first time you kind of break down and, come out of it. Yeah. So, what was the preparations for this? Because even before that also, you tell your mother that, why didn't you marry somebody else if you were so sure of moving on? Yeah. So, what was the preparation for this scene?
I mean, see, logistically, one of the interesting things about that scene is that we shot that early on. So we shot that before we shot the court bits, before we shot
Right.
all of that. We had that location for 1 week.
Okay.
So we had to finish everything that we could do within that time. So, and this was in my first week of shoot after 3 years.
Okay.
So luckily, I was too new to the whole thing to be paranoid about, oh, how am I going to prepare for this? It comes at the latter end of the film, but we have to shoot it in the beginning. Anta, I had not stressed about any of that. I don't know. For me, it always comes back to the writing.
Yeah.
When the writing has such truth and such, when it's, I think when writing is, I don't know if this is the right term for it, kind of when it gives room for the subtext to shine. I think that's when you have a lot of fun with it. Like this scene, all she's saying is, "Nang tumba sustagide. I'm very tired."
Yeah.
But it carries the weight of everything she's tired of.
Yeah.
She's tired of battling for this guy. She's tired of going to court. She's physically tired of taking 3 buses. She's tired of working. She's tired of, not being able to study. She's tired of dropping out. I don't know if that's happened yet, but, there's all of this. So, when you're prepping for it, you're always rooted in the subtext.
Yeah.
And good writing will have acres and acres of subtext. And the words, the dialogues will be the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
So imaginatively, you have all this work to prepare for. So yeah, that was basically my prep for it. Hemant had given me the background of everything she's had to do to come to this point. And then there is also the beauty of, of the way we crumble with our parents. You fight them for the longest time, and then once they put the hand on your shoulder and you fall apart. That's all you need. We've all had this moment with our parents. So there's so much honesty in that, yeah.
Lovely. Thank you. Let's go to the next scene. Shashank, ideally a fight is such an aggressive act, right? Like, you could have placed this song when everything was fine, like the people are all united, and then you could have given your final message. But you're bringing it at a very, how do you say, such a serious moment. Was it decided on paper, or did it evolve over?
Yeah, it was decided on paper.
Okay.
That theme of the BGM of the film, the core theme of the film should come here. We planned so that sometimes contrast will work that will have a lot of impact.
Okay.
We had a fight choreographer, and we said it should not look like choreography.
Yeah.
Fight choreography. It should look like this is where people should feel like, okay, why are children fighting over this? And I think it translated well. But the magic of Sarvajanangada Shanti Tota, I need to tell. We had only BGM, this BGM there. In a discussion, our actor suggested Purna Mysore.
Yeah.
He suggested to use that phrase somewhere in the film. Maybe as a starting quote or somewhere. I thought it's a very nice idea because it is written by Tejasvi. His father's, Sarvajanang Shanti Tota, that should come somehow in the film, and we thought this is the best place to put that, and it really worked. It really had great impact. For now, I feel without this theme, it is incomplete.
Correct. Yeah. So finally, each of you, can you tell me what you look forward to in 2024? And of course, I'm very curious about what you're doing next as well. So, yeah, Nithin.
To start, so I'm clueless, but sure by the end of 2024, I'll be with another movie.
You'll go on floors with another film.
No, I should be releasing it.
Oh, okay.
Can't be delaying it like Hostel.
Super.
So,
I think I want to be acting more, directing more, writing more, everything. I think, because I keep getting asked this question, which one of these do you want to be doing? I want to be doing all of them. So I hope that 2024 is a blessed year for everyone here and more.
Yeah, hope for another round of roundtable. 2024.
You want to be part of another round? So indirectly saying you have made one of the best
Hopefully,
films.
yeah.
Yeah, I've got I think, I mean, all going well, Bagheera should probably hit screens, and the Tamil film with Vijay sir is done. So that should also be out. That's my first comedy caper kind of
Oh,
film,
right.
and I do not have a pulse on comedy at all. So I'm very excited to see how that is received, and I guess Bhairati Ranagal also.
Yeah. So all the best for 2024, and thank you so much for being part of this roundtable.
Thank you so much.